We're talking Bride of Chucky from 1998 on this episode of One Week Rental. First, we go through the history of the Child's Play franchise under the stewardship of Don Mancini, who created the series all the way back in 1988. Take you up through 1998 with Bride of Chucky, when the franchise became something else, really started to emphasize the gay and queer themes that were always present, but really dives into them here. We dive deep into Jennifer Tilly and her great career, talk about the Chucky franchise after Bride of Chucky and all the interesting directions it went. After the history segment, Laci and I dive deep into Bride of Chucky, review it, discuss it, have fun with a very fun movie. And if you're just here for the movie discussion, if you don't care about all the history stuff, look on your screen, as always, look for that timestamp, scroll to that part of the episode, and enjoy our movie discussion of Bride of Chucky. Welcome to One Week Rental, a movie podcast where we spend the week with the movie, and we spent the past week with Bride of Chucky and holy matrimony with Tiffany and Chucky, and now we're going to tell you everything we have learned. I am Matt Stokes.
And I'm Laci Roth, his bride.
I like to think of you as my bride. I'm glad that you agree that that's what you are. And I am your bride.
I don't know that I get a choice.
Every week on the program, we dive deep into a movie, learning all about its production history and the people who made it, and then we watch it multiple times. We think about it. We come up with theories, and we tell you all about them. And that is, this week is no exception. Bride of Chucky. Why are we covering Bride of Chucky?
Because I drew a Chucky doll on my coloring channel.
And I was like, sir.
That's like idea. Gina Gershwin, Showgirls, plus Jennifer Tilly equals they were in a movie together called Bound. Like literally, that's what you did, a corkboard with string.
That's what on my mind does. Lots of corkboards of connecting. And here we are, Bride of Chucky. How many times had you seen this movie prior to this week?
Once,
you say?
in the theaters.
Wow.
I remember not having a huge impression on me, but once I started watching it, I was like, oh, I liked this movie. It wasn't really one of my wheelhouse movies. Chucky wasn't one of my series. So to just start at Bride of Chucky and never having seen any other Child's Play movies already felt like I was doing it wrong. And I had also seen Halloween H2O as my first and only Halloween movie, maybe even around the same time. I feel like there's a resurgence. Yeah, so I just kind of felt like an imposter, like I'm playing in someone else's yard. They're going to kick me out.
But both of those movies were designed to be clean entry points for people. All of it riding in the wake of Scream. And look at this poster. This is just the Scream poster.
Yeah, absolutely. But they didn't make it made me feel... It didn't make me feel welcome enough, right? Because I could feel the lore running through this movie of like, I don't know what they're talking about. Serial killer, what? Or are they talking about? You gotta have at least seen the first one.
There is a little bit of lore. So I actually, prior to this week, I'd only seen it once. This is not my series. I've seen the first two Child's Play movies many times. Other than that, this just was never my series until a few years ago when I watched all of them. Mm-hmm. And it's a solid series. I don't love it the way I love Friday the 13th and Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street, but it's a very solid series. And
it knows what it is.
It knows exactly what it is, but it's also special because it is all basically the product of one person. Not only the product of one person, but you've had the same writer throughout. And I think movies like this show how it's it's able to evolve and become a new thing. Mm-hmm. And I think that Chucky speaks to people.
He does. He's a talking doll.
Well, that's the thing. And dolls are not supposed to do that.
They aren't.
They are not supposed to do that. But we have an episode about Child's Play from 2020, which I went back and listened to.
Mm-hmm. Is it listenable?
You can all listen to all our old episodes. You shouldn't. I mean, you should. I listened and I thought, oh, it was good. We were good. We just didn't. We were never. Only in the past few years have we gotten structured and serious and like made a PowerPoint.
And by that, we mean Matt got structured and serious.
But like we just like go down whatever rabbit holes. Oh, you said a word. Let's talk about that. But it's fine. But you really didn't like Child's Play. You thought it was too upsetting.
It made me very upset. Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think it's a good movie, but it's a Alex Vincent as Andy Barclay is an extraordinary actor in that movie, and it takes you out of how much fun the movie is supposed to be because he's so traumatized.
Yes. And what happens to him is so realistic and like, how do you prove to someone you're not crazy when you believe something that's crazy? And and you're a kid. I just didn't need a movie telling me about the powerlessness of being a child. That's something I think about all the time. And I have a special niche concern for people not being believed. I don't fucking like it as a plot device.
I don't have that specific hang up that you do, but I watched the movie and I think they need to take this out because it would be more fun.
Yes.
It would be more like the Jason movie it's trying to be. And you could take it a little less seriously because it has so much else going for it. Here in Bride of Chucky is where I think the series really finds itself. I don't think this is a great movie, but like this is a really fun movie.
It is fun.
It's maybe not scary enough, but here they really embrace how stupid
any of
this
them
is.
Scary? I don't think any of these movies are scary.
I think there are legitimately great horror sequences in the first two movies. Okay. And I mean, yeah, how scary is a doll? Whenever a human is fighting Chucky, you're like, oh, you can just easily defeat him. But you're walking around the room, you don't know Chucky's there. That's terrifying.
He's a sneaky little twat.
So let's talk about the history of Bride of Chucky in our history segment. We'll briefly go through the history of the Child's Play franchise. An excellent book called Reign of Chucky by Dustin McNeil and Travis Mullins.
A fantastic fucking cover of a book. Hot damn. That would catch my eye, and it has.
That could have been designed by Laci Roth herself. It's that high quality. But this book, these authors also wrote a book about the Halloween franchise called Taking Shape. On our Hellraiser episode a few episodes back, I talked about a book from that takes a similar approach where it just goes comprehensively through the Hellraiser franchise. That's what's so great about horror, is that people love it so much that there's an audience for books where an author can just go talk to everybody who made each of these movies and say, like, just tell us about these movies. Tell us how you made them. Tell us stories from the set.
Because they're a labor of love. No one's doing these to get ultra rich. It's like, and a horror franchise is one of the only, except for maybe action, where you can, in fantasy, where you can stay so long in the same world. And it's not like, oh, they're just trying to milk that. It's like, no, that's what this is for. This Scream world is for us to come back over and over and over again.
Yeah, no, nobody's going to be like, oh my God. So what are they doing?
Right,
doing Child's Play 4? Come on.
The trick is to reinvent. The trick is to do something that the audience isn't expecting. That's what makes it so fucking cool.
You can do that like with Child's Play, or you can do Friday the 13th, where the point is just do it again. Just do it again.
Different premise for why these kids are at this place they shouldn't be, but
and you can make little minor variations.
Right.
Like, ooh, Jason doesn't usually do that, but
ooh, final boy, not final girl.
Exactly. So anyway, what I'm saying is that book is great. All of these books are great. Horror fans, I think,
are great.
Are the best kinds of fans, because if you compare them to something like sci-fi or fans of the Marvel universe or Star Wars or whatever, I think there's this weird thing where they're very hostile to the people who make the thing and think that they understand the property better than the creators. And I think horror fans are about celebrating the creators.
Oh, you're so right. Well, and that's such a welcoming community to have a con. It like literally will take any person that was involved with the movie, and it's like your family.
I carried the mattress in Hellraiser 1.
Right.
I'm at this con.
Right. I hold the screw that his hand gets caught on. I go with the mattress guy. But also they're very welcoming to the females in their community. Still, the horror community is still overwhelmingly male, but it's also very queer and very full of people with autism, and it's just, I don't know. It's just it's my people. Not to be Anne Hathaway about it, but
my people.
It's welcoming.
Chucky, the queerest of all of the franchises, and Jennifer Tilly didn't know what she was joining, but is very sweet about how she knows this is her legacy now. She thought she would be a serious actress. Instead, she's
with a voice like that.
I'm a horror woman.
Jennifer Tilly, you are precious, and that body is sex on a stick. But with a voice like that,
a parody. It's not what she didn't choose to be the body that have a body like that, but she's like a parody.
It's not her body. It is her voice. But you know what? She could have a resurgence in a White Lotus like type show, the same way that other lady with crazy voice. I can't think of her name.
Jennifer Coolidge.
Yeah, that's another person with a very specific look, known for a very specific thing. Stifler's mom. I'm a hot blonde older lady, but like she's a serious fucking actress. After you put her in something like White Lotus, she was amazing. Jennifer Tilly. It's still out there.
The Child's Play franchise started in 1988. There's been 7 feature films and a TV series that recently ended after 3 seasons. There's always future stuff in development with Child's Play. But you have like your totemic horror franchises that started in the 70s and the 80s. You have Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Hellraiser, Evil Dead. And what is special about Chucky is that you have one primary creative voice behind all of this in Don Mancini. And I think the closest you come to that in other franchises is because like Tobe Hooper leaves Texas Chainsaw Massacre and John Carpenter leaves Halloween.
Wes Craven, would that be the closest?
With Scream, I think he did 4 Scream movies and then he died. If he was still alive, he might still be making Scream movies.
Well, and because he died and because he stuck with it until his death, you'd think the people that come after him to honor him will stay closer to his formula out of like reverence.
Yeah, and then Kevin Williamson is the writer. He did leave, but now he's back. So I think that one's...
There's franchises that have a way of making people want to come back. That's what I was going to say about Scream is that, and Halloween, right? Like the person might not stick around, but people will return.
Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis returned multiple times. John Carpenter never did. They tried to get him back, but
I thought he did come back for one.
George A. Romero did Night of the Living Dead and then Dawn of the Dead and kept making Of the Dead movies until he died. So that may be the best comparison. This is from a 2019 Mental Floss oral history of Child's Play. Quote, as a film student at UCLA in the mid-1980s, Don Mancini was amused by the hysteria surrounding the Cabbage Patch Kids, those ubiquitous, slightly homely dolls that were disappearing from toy shelves and prompting physical fights between parents. Mancini's father had worked in the advertising industry all his life, and his son knew how effective marketing could pull strings, resulting in consumer bedlam. I wanted to create a dark satire about how marketing affected children. Cabbage Patch was really popular. I put the 2 impulses together, end quote. And so that was what led him to write Child's Play as a script on spec. It was originally called Batteries Not Included.
Was there a reason to make him a ginger? And also Rugrats Chucky, also ginger.
That was later, the Rugrats
No,
Chucky.
I know, but do you think Rugrats named him Chucky because he has red hair and because of this Chucky?
I think it probably did. Yeah, how could it not?
How could it not?
His original name was Buddy, and then the Buddy.
But My Buddy doll.
Yeah,
he most looks like a My Buddy and a kid sister.
And he said he developed it before that came out. It was sort of independent thinking.
Overalls were just kind of in the pool. That was the real thing, is that he had the parted hair swept to the side, but it was brunette, and My Buddy spoke.
Okay, and this other big toy was called Teddy Ruxpin.
Teddy Ruxpin spoke. Teddy Ruxpin, the whole thing was about him is that he'd read you books. Like you put in discs that were like little records. You put in records. They're plastic. Or it was cassettes. I might be confusing 3 toys at one time right now.
We talked a lot on that 2020 episode about the 80s is the time when it is exploding, the idea of we can create brand new intellectual properties that start with the toy. The toy comes first, then we'll develop the cartoons and all the ancillary stuff around. And, it wasn't new to advertise to kids, but now it was getting way more cynical of like, we don't need to start with something they like and then make toys out of it.
Is this when we start to get all the fear over taking your kid down the cereal aisle? That their eyes are looking at you. Their eyes are looking at their kids. They're going to get sugary cereals.
I don't know if that's when it starts, but like Don Mancini is reacting to all of that because he knows how effective advertising can be and how much more effective it is on kids. And kids can make their parents buy fucking anything, which, So the other main steward of this franchise is the producer David Kirshner, who is a protege of Steven Spielberg, and he had just produced An American Tail, which was a huge hit, the animated movie by Don Bluth, and he was afraid... Kirshner was afraid of getting pigeonholed as an animated guy, so he said, I'm going to do a horror movie. So he's looking out for horror projects, and he also decided, I really want to do a horror movie about a doll. And so he got connected to this script that this guy, Don Mancini, had written on spec. And he said the other major inspiration was Gremlins had been a big hit in 1984. And that showed what you could now do with audio animatronics and puppets.
And tiny things that can be scary anyway. They've just got to be sneaky.
Yeah, and the idea of a doll being scary, that's also a very old idea. But they were thinking, now we're finally at a place with the technology where we can make a convincing movie out of it.
Right. Like, you don't just look in a room and the rocking chair's got a doll in it, because that's fucking scary as hell.
Right.
But... this one's got a mouth that moves.
I watched Child's Play 1 and then jumped to Bride of Chucky, and Chucky is in so little of Child's Play 1. By Bride of Chucky, he's in so much of the movie. It's centered so much on him and him being in camera So even with what they were able to do in 1988, they were nowhere close to what they would be able to do 10 years later. It's another great thing about these movies is always practical effects, practical puppetry.
And you watch them learn, right? Watch them reinvent and not reinvent, but like invent their own play. Like Hellraiser, there was no need to know how to make a Cenobite, and then all of a sudden, now we're gonna need some new ones.
Yeah. They purchase David Kirshner purchases Don Mancini's script. He commissions a rewrite by Tom Holland, who will go on to direct the first movie. But David Kirshner really liked Don Mancini and took him under his wing. He's going to be his mentor and his steward. And so even though Mancini was an inexperienced screenwriter and wasn't allowed to rewrite the script himself, he was allowed to stay on with the franchise. And so the script evolved over a period of time, and there's actually a pretty bitter dispute about who would get the screenplay credit for Child's Play, because Tom Holland said he deserved sole screenwriting credit. And read Reign of Chucky if you want this whole story. But especially in the wake of how profitable this series became, it is still contested, because it's this writer added this element that Don Mancini didn't like the idea of using voodoo, but as another writer came in and said, this is how Chucky's going to come to life is voodoo. And it is weird.
It's weird. It's out of nowhere.
Yeah.
When in Bride of Chucky, when they're doing these chants, it's where's speaking in tongues coming from? This is so out of, there's no other ritualistic stuff around except for the amulet they're going to go get. But it's shouldn't there be signs of the voodoo culture? I love that she's reading a Voodoo for Dummies book, though. That was so very that moment.
I remember the Voodoo for Dummies. I didn't see this movie when it came out, but I was aware that she reads a book called Voodoo for Dummies, and I thought, that's so stupid. Does that movie know how stupid that is?
But the movie just has her as some hot goth chick who's into killing. Nothing to do with Satanism or voodoo, and those two things are very different, by the way. So sorry, I just lumped them together.
The first movie, he's a serial killer, Charles Lee Ray. He's the Strangler. Mm-hmm. But he also learned voodoo because he wanted to stay alive forever. And those two ideas do not seem to work comfortably together. But what I like about Don Mancini is it wasn't his idea to do voodoo, but he's but that's in the movie, so he keeps it up throughout the rest of the franchise. Yeah. Even though he didn't come up with it.
You know where voodoo does work?
Where?
Weekend at Bernie's.
In Weekend at Bernie's 2, which I've never seen. So
sorry.
We'll have to do it on the program.
Gave it away. He dances.
I think a lot of our old episode was us singing the Godsmack song Voodoo.
Oh.
Voodoo, voodoo.
Rain. Is that what it is?
Yeah. Big hit 1988, $45 million on a $10 million budget. And it's okay, we have in this golden age of slasher killers, we got a new one, folks. We got a new one.
We just needed it pocket-sized.
And then Chucky, new horror icon, but MGM is the studio, and MGM is always in trouble, so they sell Chucky to Universal. They produce a sequel in 1990 called Child's Play. It's called Child's Play 2.
It's so true about MGM, though. Anything with MGM logo on it as a movie or video release or whatever is so much more valuable. That must be why, because it was a short run.
Yeah, because
a first release. It proves it's a first release of a VHS or a DVD if it's got the watermark, something like that.
Okay, yeah, because they were constantly selling off their catalog, and then, all right, now we're going to release our own stuff, and they do that for a few years, and fuck, okay, we got to sell it again.
So if you show the watermark in your eBay listing, you get way more money.
Interesting, because Laci is selling a lot of physical media right now. Reach out to her if you want to buy something.
You want some shit?
But MGM was the biggest, the most successful Hollywood studio during Hollywood's golden age. 30s, 40s, and 50s. Then later they go into financial ruin and sell their back catalog to Turner, who then gets bought by Warner Brothers. That's why so many MGM movies are released by Warner Brothers on home video.
It baffles me that Chucky didn't always have those crazy tears and eyes and stuff. He looks so much better as a really fucked up looking doll.
He does. That's only in Bride of Chucky and Seed of Chucky.
It's such
Otherwise,
a good
he's
look.
Pristine. Yeah, it is.
It is adorable. It's cuter than the horrible uncanny doll with the bad wig. I love that his hair is just stapled to the side of his face. It's not even stapled to the top of his head. It's stapled along the sides of his face.
But the pristine one is scarier. That's what makes it scarier.
No, I know. I just like the other one because it's so cute.
So Child's Play 2, I think, is also very good. And then they rushed Child's Play 3 into production, and it doesn't do well financially. And the early 90s is this time when all of the 80s slasher movies are now struggling to adapt to the 90s. It was the 90s. Even in this movie, they're like, guys, it's the 90s. I was wondering, are we ever going to get to the point where we're like, guys, it's the 20s?
Oh my God, it's identical, Matt. That is crazy. You've got up the Scream 2 poster and the Bride of Chucky poster, and I mean, I don't know how one didn't get sued.
Yeah,
that is
they were
fucked.
Literally, they could, because they just said it's parody. We're parodying the Scream 2 poster.
But look at the K and the M. I mean, it's the same font.
Yeah. And these are different studios.
That's yeah. Maybe they had a little something over Weinstein.
Maybe
a little Miramax.
Remembering.
I don't understand.
You remembered that Weinstein produced Scream.
Yeah.
You never remember stuff.
I know that they're a Miramax movie. Because I just know these movies really well.
In the 90s, especially the early 90s, which was a bad time for horror.
You were proud of me just now and I just missed it?
Yeah.
We need a hand signal for that so I know that you're not being mean to me. Yeah! I got a thumbs up.
The early 90s was a very bad time for horror. And all these great 80s slasher franchises. What do you mean?
Scream.
It was a good time for... That's the late 90s, love.
Oh, agree.
The early 90s, they're trying Friday the 13th gets sold to Warner Brothers, and they do Jason Goes to Hell the final Friday, one of the worst movies ever made. Bad. Freddy Krueger struggling to make the jump. Michael Myers, no one cares anymore. And it also
do they all end up in
Chucky.
Space? Do they all go to hell in space?
A lot of them go to space.
Yeah, go to hell, go to space.
Hellraiser goes to space in 1998, I believe. Hellraiser Bloodline. Chucky and Chucky 3 goes to military school.
Stop.
So it's just, it's not working out.
No.
So, they take him. All right, guys, we'll pause with Chucky. Chucky, though, he's going to come back eventually. And David Kirshner, the producer, he's always in Spielberg's orbit. So he's a very powerful guy. He really loves Chucky, and he's always looking for a way to bring Chucky back. He says that he was browsing in a video store and saw a Bride of Frankenstein VHS. And he's like, there we go. Give him a bride. Give Chucky a bride. That's the way to bring him back. Here I'm going to read from Reign of Chucky. Quote, as a horror trope, the bride of gimmick wasn't all that exploited, not as much as you might think. Virtually none of the modern horror icons had gone this route. I dropped my Kindle when I read that. By gum, they're right. Yeah, why did Freddy Krueger never get a bride? That's that's a layup for him.
Because he likes children. It would have to be a child bride.
That Kirshner found inspiration in Bride of Frankenstein could not have been more appropriate given the studio behind it. Both Frankenstein's monster and his bride were part of the original Universal monster lineup some 6 decades earlier. By way of the Child's Play sequels, Chucky had been inducted into the Universal monster family and was now part of the new generation of monsters. End quote. So Kirshner calls up his friend Don Mancini. He's like, Donnie, give him a bride. The Chuck needs to come back. And Don Mancini's like, hell yeah. This is he felt like they'd run Chucky into the ground with the first 3 movies. This is a way to reinvigorate it. At the same time,
literally make Chucky look like the Frankenstein monster.
Oh, you're right.
Stitches and staples.
Yeah. Fuck. I never even thought of that. But, at the same time, 1996 Scream comes out. Everybody check out our episode about Scream from October 2024 to learn all about Scream. But Scream was such a big hit. Now there's a feeding frenzy and horror is back, baby, in Hollywood. Don Mancini wrote in the production notes for Bride of Chucky, quote, like most genres, the horror genre goes in cycles, and I think we can thank Kevin Williamson and Scream for reinvigorating the market. Over the years, I had been imagining new scenarios for this series. With his previous successes, we knew it was just a matter of time before we'd be bringing Chucky back, and David Kirshner and I both felt that it was important to bring him back in a new way. We wanted to elevate the series and reinvent it, go beyond what we'd done before. End quote. So he said that he was noticing that with slashers, especially, the longer the series goes on, the more people want to see more of the slasher on screen. And as a consequence, especially Freddy Krueger is the one that this is most noticeable with, they become funnier because now they're just on screen more and they get less scary. So you have to make them funnier.
Right.
So that's what they're going to have to do with Chucky. Plus, if you have this fucking puppet on screen most of the time, he's just not going to be as scary. So you have to embrace the funny.
Right. The way he kills needs to be so unique or so funny. Because it won't be scary.
Yeah. You also have, I haven't mentioned his name yet, Brad Dourif, voicing Chucky, playing Charles Lee Ray for 10 minutes of the first Chucky movie, but just one of the best actors of all time. Oscar nominated for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, from Deadwood and Lord of the Rings and Exorcist 3, but you have this incredible actor with this incredible voice who is acknowledged. I'm just doing Jack Nicholson when I play Chucky. That's the impression he's doing. Okay, so they're going to push humor to the fore, and the other major thing they're going to push to the fore is the gayness, the queerness, the queer themes, and presented in a positive way. And this is the most Chucky, probably the most queer positive of all the mainstream series franchises, horror franchises. This is from a New York Times profile of Don Mancini from 2021. So in 2021, the Chucky TV series was about to come out. So they talked to Don Mancini, and they're talking here about the new series. Quote, newcomers to Chucky, the foul-mouthed killer doll, who first terrorized viewers in 1988, might be more surprised by what happens in episode 2. In it, Jake, a 14-year-old boy who unknowingly purchases Chucky at a yard sale, is miffed that the little maniac has read his diary entries about his crush on a classmate, Devin. That's when Chucky tells Jake about his own queer and gender-fluid child. You're cool with it? Jake asks. I'm not a monster, Jake, Chucky replies. He is a monster, of course, an icon of horror cinema with a 7-film canon, but Chucky is also a P-flag, Dad. P-flag, I had to look up, but that means proud friends and family of lesbians and gays.
Aww.
Quote, for Don Mancini, the gay man who created the Chucky character, Chucky, is more than just the franchise's first foray into episodic television. Its 8 episodes offer a chance to pursue some deeply personal themes, including a gay boy's puppy love that he wasn't able to explore when Child's Play hit theaters 33 years ago. End quote. So Bride of Chucky is the first time that a lot of the gay themes are both on screen and suggested and even just referenced. And it's in like every sentence of the movie if you're paying attention.
And they aren't the joke. They're not being made fun of.
Absolutely. It's stuff that is, some of it's very obvious and some of it's only obvious if you are familiar with this, if you're a gay person yourself, or if you love a gay person, that you hear, phrases like found family, or you don't get to choose your family. What I really love is a character who is gay. It's not a joke. And then his best friend is a straight man.
I love it too. And they're both best friends with he's just a really likable guy, and 2 very popular people like this guy. They're not like the goths or the alternative kids at school.
Right,
These are just regular, normal bread and butter kids.
Yeah, and a thing that no doubt happened all the time everywhere around the world, and for whatever reason was just not portrayed in media. Is like, wait a minute, this boy is straight and this boy is gay, and they're friends with each other but don't want to fuck each other. What's going on?
The straight one's not threatened?
Exactly, yes. And then the follow-up movie, Seed of Chucky, really, really goes even deeper and really goes into the trans theme.
This movie is batshit, but it's so sweet.
So sweet. Those puppets are fucking up. Especially Chucky. He's such a great looking puppet. Reading more from the New York Times, quote, the queerness of the series won't surprise longtime Chucky fans. Child's Play may be the queerest of the big horror franchises. A gay supporting character died a spectacular death, a horror badge of honor, in the 4th film of the series, Bride of Chucky, which also signaled a pivot to campy horror comedy. Seed of Chucky introduced Chucky and his bride Tiffany to their transgender child, who goes by Glenn and Glenda, a shout out to Ed Wood's B-movie Glenn or Glenda. Other gay characters appear in Curse of Chucky and Cult of Chucky, end quote. You even have in that clip we just watched, you have Chucky who's like, he's like he's sort of like a conservative dad who's like, well, I love my kid. This is a little confusing, but whatever, you.
As long as he goes in the family business, I don't care.
Exactly, yes. And that movie has John Waters in it. It is so embracing the camp tradition, embraced by the queer community. So yeah, I mean, Mancini is a gay man. In Bride of Chucky, you have it all throughout the movie. You have, even Jennifer Tilly herself is like this campy. Was coming off of Bound, which is one of the classic lesbian movies of all time, and just in the way she's like a parody of femininity and feminine hotness with her giant boobs and her Betty Boop voice.
But likes the very manly thing of serial killing, which is hardly ever done by women.
True. And in real life, loves poker. But we'll get into that.
And you got the swinging couple who are actually just stealing things from people, but they would have fucked those kids too if they'd let them.
They would have.
Just a couple of swingers in the honeymoon suite. Why would someone on their wedding night want to swing?
Not the time. If you're in Niagara Falls, it does something to you, Laci. and you have a gender fluid, or you wouldn't use that term. Alexis Arquette plays the man who Tiffany kills. Alexis Arquette was a trans woman, sort of before like anybody like had the, like she would play men and women and like play like drag queens and play like fake women or whatever. It's sort of before anybody understood like how to talk about it, but was an openly transgender woman, the sister of David and Patricia and Rosanna. But here in this movie, already being an out trans woman is playing a man who is himself like this like dark goth guy
that wears feminine things.
Yes.
It's got a cutoff shirt and is wearing fishnets. And
exactly, yes. The role was always written for Jennifer Tilly, who was like at the top of her powers at the time. Going to read here from New York Magazine in 2012, which is Jennifer Tilly has a new play opening up. So they're catching up with Jennifer Tilly and they're like, we got to look at the playbill, and it has her bio, which she wrote. So they're reading the bio that she wrote for herself. Quote, she was nominated for an Oscar for her role in Woody Allen's Bullets Over Broadway, but people remember her mostly as Bride of Chucky. After tonight's performance, she'll probably be playing poker. End quote. So yeah, she's one of the most successful women poker players ever. She said she stopped acting for 8. Well, here's this quote. It's like drugs. She says, you start off playing 25, 50 cents at the kitchen table, and then you play $1, $2, but you just want more and more thrills. That's why I think it's a great thing that I'm taking some time off and doing a play. I love theater and I love acting. I just kind of forgot about it for like 8 years. I was just in this crazy sort of vortex where I thought poker was the most important thing in the world. Anytime I would get a part, I would say, well, would I rather do this or would I rather be playing poker?
God, I feel that.
And the answer was I'd rather be playing poker.
Oh, I feel that. I'd rather be going to buy movies right now.
Yeah,
that's all I can think about.
Laci, yeah.
I have a problem.
Going to thrift stores. If you got a thrift store, she's coming.
Guard your loins. Gird them. You see the tiny little Tiffany doll?
Yep.
Or the little...
It's awesome. So in 1998, I mean, she's at the height of her success. She'd started a career with movies in the 80s like Let It Ride and The Fabulous Baker Boys. From 1984 to 1991, she was married to Sam Simon. Do you know the name? You know Sam? Okay, Sam Simon is one of the co-developers of The Simpsons. I mean, actually, he's like you should be called one of the co-creators of The Simpsons, but he would be entitled to even more money if that were the case. But he was the co-developer of The Simpsons. He was the showrunner for the first 2 seasons of the show. His name is, in the opening credits of every season. And then he left after season 2, but still he's dead. He gets so much fucking money from The Simpsons, and she is still entitled to 30% of his Simpsons earnings in perpetuity. So she has made by far the most money from that than anything else she has done. So,
and she looks just like our friend Brittany.
God, I was thinking that in this picture.
She looks just like her.
And they're so similar in all the other ways, too.
Oh, yes, completely.
1994, she's in Woody Allen's Bullets Over Broadway and gets nominated for Best Supporting Actress. And then 96, she's in the Wachowskis movie Bound. Quote from Reign of Chucky, quote, despite some initial hesitation about doing a Chucky movie, Tilly responded favorably to the script and to the character that had been written for her. Even so, she didn't immediately sign on to the project due to a salary dispute she would not budge from. Given that the role of Tiffany was mostly a voice performance, the studio sought to pay her a lower voiceover rate, which the actress rejected. With Tilly on the fence, Mancini reached out to her Bound co-star Gina Gershon about playing Tiffany as a backup plan. Gershon didn't connect to the material in the same way, however, and instead encouraged Tilly to accept the role, which she eventually did once her salary demands were met.
I mean, that voice just lends itself to voice acting, though. God damn it, that she makes the movie. Her laughing, her camaraderie, the softness of her voice compared to the hardness of what they're doing. Someone shrieking and shrill in those moments just isn't powerful. It isn't palatable the way that her voice is unnerving. But soothing and it's confident. Like there's just something so versatile about her voice.
You'd need somebody like Gina Gershon, whose voice is very different, but also is a little exaggerated.
And cool. It's cool. They talk cool.
They do. They talk cool. Jennifer Tilly and Brad Dourif. The first thing they did on this movie was they recorded all their voiceover work over 3 days. They got to record together, which is good because in voiceover often you don't record with your co-stars.
That makes sense because it's some of the best scenes. Just them talking to each other. They are the best scenes.
Yeah,
them going back and forth and just just looking like dolls.
Yes.
Saying crazy shit.
I think that the thing that works least about the movie is when they're interacting with other actors. And I think there you can tell that these people are acting against pre-recorded dialogue. Because that's where doing puppets, you'd want the person on set to be able to like improvise.
Well, and by then some of the movie's tone could have gotten away from you or morphed, like it just develops into its own thing given the individual actors' talents and chemistry. And so like maybe if Tilly's character has been like softer with the kids prior and then all of a sudden she's hard as nails, and it's like, well, Jesus Christ, I thought we'd made a little bit of progress toward you liking these kids.
Exactly. So there are some line deliveries that just feel like they're tonally off.
Right. But I mean, she's right there, just fucking record it again. But all right.
So they hire Ronnie Yu to direct. He was a Hong Kong action director. He had directed Brandon Lee's first lead role in a movie called Legacy of Rage in 1986. That was a Hong Kong action movie. Mm-hmm. He had gone over to Hollywood, made a big flop called Warriors of Virtue for MGM. Then he did Bride of Chucky. 5 years later, he did Freddy vs. Jason, and then went back to Hong Kong. And I think he does a pretty solid job in this movie. And it does look and feel a lot different from the earlier Child's Play movies. The movie's a big hit. It's the biggest hit of the franchise.
Which one?
Bride of Chucky.
Oh, okay.
And I think came at a perfect time, came in this horror revival, and felt exactly of a piece with all the late 90s horror movies coming in the aftermath of Scream.
I remember going to the movie and thinking, like, this is the most right now thing I could ever do. It felt even in the moment like, yep, this is a now thing.
They're even saying,
don't know
in
how
the
to
movie,
explain it. It's just like, this feels like Gadzooks in here. Yep, I'm in Gadzooks sitting here watching a movie. It's how it feels.
I keep waiting for people to describe right now as the 20s, and no one's doing it. But even in this movie, they say, Chucky, it's the 90s. We don't kill with a knife anymore. And people were always announcing in the 90s, it's the 90s.
It's the well, because we were approaching a millennia. But then once it turned and we're like, oh, this feels just like the 90s, it stopped feeling like something we should announce all the time. It was like a big achievement to make it to the 999 of something. Then you start over at 1 and you're just a freshman. Like, ugh.
This is true, but they also they used to like to announce at what decade it was in the 80s. Oh, this is so 80s and in the 80s and stuff. Decades just don't exist anymore.
They say early aughts. We do.
We weren't in the early aughts being like, guys, it's the aughts right now.
We should get it audited.
Now, you'd think they'd rush a sequel into production, but the studio rejected Don Mancini's script because they said it was too gay.
What?
So it takes 6 years for Seed of Chucky to come out. This time, Don Mancini gets to direct it himself.
Good.
And this is also a very meta movie. Jennifer Tilly plays Tiffany, and she plays herself. She plays Jennifer Tilly, who the doll Tiffany is trying to possess her body and take over her.
She just so happens to look just like Tiffany used to. Mm-hmm. It's so weird.
This one was not well received and didn't make as much money, and the series went away again, although people consider it a classic now. I think Bride of Chucky and Seed of Chucky, they're basically as good as each other. Yeah. And then the series went straight to streaming with Curse of Chucky in 2013 and Cult of Chucky in 2017. Mancini directed both of those. Those both star Brad Dourif's daughter, Fiona Dourif, as the lead. And there is a great section of Cult of Chucky where she gets possessed by the real Charles Lee Ray. So you get to see the daughter doing an impression of her dad, and it's very funny because she also looks like her dad. And it's crazy. And
of course, they made a Stranger Things version of Chucky for Netflix or wherever the hell this is. What is this?
Then they make the TV series for Sci-Fi and USA. It ran for 3 seasons. People love it. People fucking love it. Okay. It's like the best reviewed thing in the whole franchise. I have not seen any of it. It sounds great. And all of these, like, Don Mancini's big on continuity. It's all happened, and characters will come back. The grown-up actor who played Andy in 1988, he comes back all the time. Jennifer Tilly comes back all the time.
I love that. I love someone not afraid of their own lore and all of the mistakes they might have made along the way, and just making it part of, like, well, if it was a mistake, we'll pick on it, and if it was great, we'll play with it, and then we'll add as we go, and we won't forget.
Yeah,
my memory is long.
While not forgetting to add new people, because the new show is apparently it's centered on these brand new characters, these kids. Well,
you got to have the reset Buzz Lightyear.
Exactly.
It's a what?
I know.
I have heard the legends, but it's true. It's a hoo-ha.
Just reading the description that he finds out he's already talking to Chucky in episode 2, that makes me think like, oh, that's fun. It'd be fun if Chucky didn't want to kill the person who owned him.
Yes, like just be a buddy. Be my buddy.
And finally, Jennifer Tilly on embracing the legacy, she said to Interview Magazine in 2024, quote, with Chucky, I had an idea that a horror movie is something you do in the beginning of your career or at the end. Like Jennifer Aniston was in Leprechaun. And then Bette Davis is in Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, which, by the way, is a phenomenal classic film. I just come off an Oscar nomination. I wanted to be a really important movie star, like a major motion picture star. I would say that I was a serious actress. I do plays on Broadway, but to be perfectly honest, I had hardly watched any horror films at all. My idea of horror films were The Shining or Rosemary's Baby, which are more like art house horrors. They're not the thing where people are getting chased and stabbed while they're having sex. But the fact of the matter is that Chucky is literally a foul-mouthed little doll that kills people. You're never going to get Emmy nominations from Chucky or the kind of acclaim that I craved when I was younger. I always kind of get chills a little bit when brilliant actors pass away. Like the guy who was in Willy Wonka, Gene Wilder. He had such a career, but he's known as Willy Wonka. But I've come to terms with the fact that when I pass away, people are going to leave Chucky dolls on my grave. And I'm fine with that. When the internet happened, because when I started out, there was no internet, I realized that Chucky and Bride of Chucky are these huge cult phenomenons. The Chucky fans are the greatest fans in the world. End quote.
That give me goosebumps. I'm embarrassed by my body sometimes. It's not. I like when nice people are nice and like nice things and end up liking their life.
And I like that about you. And yeah, I sometimes go looking for stuff to give you the bumps.
To goose me? Bastard.
Get your geese up. But I still have no idea what you thought of this movie.
Oh, right.
And I guess we'll find out coming up next when we discuss
Cliffhanger, bitches.
Bride of
See
Chucky.
you in 1 minute.
So, Bride of Chucky, it's a dark and stormy night at the Lockport Police Evidence Depository. We see a hockey mask and a chainsaw and a Michael Myers mask and a Freddy Krueger knife.
They really have a lot and in this area.
They really do.
Really a lot of famous.
And so
crime.
this cop goes in to retrieve like a garbage bag full of evidence and he drives away. And he calls up Jennifer Tilly. He's like, I'm on my way. Don't forget about my money.
Bitch.
And he meets her at a warehouse.
She warns him, don't you look in that bag. Curiosity killed the cat.
Who is that, we wonder? Who's that talking on the phone?
It could be anyone.
It's Jennifer Tilly. And she slices his fucking throat and she's wearing like a leather dominatrix costume.
It looks fucking amazing.
Yeah, and she licks the blood off of her hand and she goes.
She's filing her nails and her nails have blood on them. And then she licks the nail file. It's even worse than what you're saying.
Oh, wow.
It's like,
And then she goes, cool. And pulls out a dismantled Chucky head. And she goes, hello, Dolly. And then Living Dead Girl by Rob Zombie starts playing. And we're at home and we're like, fuck yeah, here we go, a movie. And it feels like 1998. We had it all, America. We're at the height of our powers. So she goes to her trailer park home and she owns like 1 billion dolls. Now, this is like one of the biggest interiors of a trailer I've ever seen. It makes no sense.
It's quite spacious. Yeah.
I love it.
It's so cute.
Especially the bath chamber.
Yes.
Which is way bigger than any bathroom we've ever owned.
It's like a doll house. Like the way it's like little cupboards, little things put away.
Mm-hmm.
The bathroom is a completely separate. It's in a different realm, a dimension that only she can access because of her tits.
And because she read the book.
She just rubs her heart Chucky tattoo and it opens a portal.
Right. You think it's there for decoration. No.
It's a button.
Not because it's sexy. It's a button.
It's a
button. She has all the Charles Lee Ray memorabilia. Charles Lee Ray, Laci is the killer who Charles Manson, Lee Harvey Oswald, James Earl Ray. That's why he's named what he's named.
Well, I knew he was a serial killer right away because they did use all 3 names. Not the names they chose, but that you always give them a middle name.
Absolutely.
You can't have John Smith getting in trouble when it's John Wayne Gacy Smith that is the actual guy. I'm not the guy. I don't got any middle names at all legally.
So she uses all of these dolls. It's not that she's a doll collector because she likes it. She just needs the parts.
I didn't notice. Are there dolls in the background that are missing limbs? Like she's been collecting just the perfect limb. You got to think, you get a doll, you're going to have 2 arms that are similar. Dare I say the same?
No, they're all intact. So she's just keeping everything because she doesn't know what she's going to need. But now she knows what she needs. And so she starts taking apart other dolls.
You positive she hasn't been trying to like make herself sexually attracted to dolls this whole time because she's worried she won't be able to get him in his actual body? I need to be able to fuck this guy. I'm bringing him back to life in any form. I think, yeah, I'm onto something.
Okay, but then she has to go get a new doll. That's the one that she puts her, but
Right.
she didn't intend to put herself in there. So you might be right about that.
Okay.
But yeah, she Frankenstein's Chucky back together. Meanwhile,
The most evil John Ritter role, John Ritter role. I feel like is he usually mean? It's so off-putting.
no, he's never mean. And so he's the two worst things you can be, a cop and an uncle. An uncle cop, the worst.
And who's like your guardian, but he treats you like you're his ward, which is worse
You're
than
my ward.
right. Like it's like he's just been his deadbeat brother fucking died like a loser, and now I gotta watch his child, but I get to control her till she's 18.
A hostage. Our family's negotiated a treaty, and I'm keeping you here for leverage to keep them.
This is the family
on their best
hostage,
behavior, yeah.
right?
I like Theon Greyjoy.
But it does have the vibes of 10 Things I Hate About You, where I feel like he's gonna make her strap on the like fake pregnancy stomach before she can go out on a date.
I didn't remember because he says like, "Hey, Katherine Heigl, are you forgetting something?" She's like, "What?" And it could have been like, yeah, strap on your fake pregnancy,
Right.
or
Diaphragm. What did she forget?
he forgot to give her the corsage. But I was like, oh, is he like abusing her or something? Is she like, come give your uncle a kiss? Thankfully, no, he's just an abusive cop. The thing he's abusing is the Constitution. So Warren is John Ritter. We meet David, who's played by actor Gordon Michael Wolvett, and he is there to collect Jade, played by Katherine Heigl, who was 19 years old at the time.
She seems very young. Yep.
Had already been in movies like Under Siege 2 as Casey Ryback's daughter. That would be Steven Seagal's character. She was in the Disney Channel original movie Wish Upon a Star, an absolute classic, starring Danielle Harris and Katherine Heigl. I guess two Scream Queens, because she's in this movie, so she's a Scream Queen, is Katherine Heigl.
I never think of her as such, but now I shall. Maybe.
You shall, yeah. And she's the niece of Uncle Warren, and he's like, this is a nice young man. I think your dead parents would have appreciated this young man who's much nicer than the usual trailer park trash you bring around here.
Even though I have no idea and no way of knowing if this boy also lives in a trailer, all I know is he doesn't seem like super sexual toward you, and he likes gay stuff.
But not too gay.
He's not too gay. He's just the right kind of gay. Yeah. I don't have to be homophobic around you, and you're not going to fuck my ward.
If you're a racist cop uncle, you should love if your daughter's boyfriend is gay. Like, that's the best thing you can be, is he's gay.
Yeah, but if he hangs around the boyfriend a lot, will the other police bros make gay jokes toward him? You know?
Well,
or you mean secret gay? You mean lavender?
I don't know what.
You don't know what you mean. Okay.
But then they go get in the car, and it turns out,
yeah, he's on to them. He's called his needle nose buddy, and like they just left.
Yeah. So and he tells his buddy, his shitty little accomplice, go follow them in your car. Do please follow them. And then Jesse, the actual boyfriend, jumps out, and now here David reveals, I'm gay, and he puts on an earring to indicate
Does he put the earring
that
on
I'm
in that
gay.
moment?
Yes,
Okay.
he does.
Well, it did used to mean something in the 90s. Which side of
but it was
the
on
head
he's
you're
on the
ear.
left ear here. It's on the straight ear. So he's sending me mixed
He's
signals here,
wild.
David.
But like when we see what, and I'm sorry, you're about to get to it, but we know that he's going to pull him over. We know that they're busted, and I assume this is prom, or at least it's homecoming, something of a big deal. She looks beautiful. He's in a tux, and he makes them get out the car in the pouring rain. Like, she's worked on herself for hours. She's spent hours picking out that dress at a store. Like, it's truly cruel to basically be like, not only are you not going to the prom with who you wanted to, you're not going at all. And I didn't even take a picture of you. So this look that you have didn't exist. You planned it for months, and it doesn't exist.
All because he knew she was lying about this boyfriend. So as soon as he get visual confirmation, there's another boy in the car. Get him. If he had not seen the extra boy in the car, would they have been pulled over?
They would have been pulled over, but just to check for a boy laying down.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, that doesn't mean they have to come out the car. He could have just let him keep going.
So now John Ritter gets called over and he's like, I caught you, you lying slut. And I told you not to date this trailer park trash. He's very upset that this guy comes from a trailer park. Jesse.
Such a throwback.
The male lead of the movie, played by David Stabile, who's mostly a soap opera actor. And it's kind of the trailer park of the entertainment industry is soap operas. And yeah, he's like, you when you turn 18 years old, you can date whoever you want, but until then, you're my responsibility. And I won't let you run around with this lowlife. And the boyfriend's like, hey, you can't talk to her like that. And Katherine Heigl's like, no, don't bother. I wish we could pick our own families, though. Katherine Heigl and this guy, I mean, they're absolute zeros in this movie.
They've got brother sister energy. Yeah.
At least that would be something, brother sister. It's just anytime the movie needs its like romantic leads, but you would hope they'd have some sort of juice, something to let us grab onto, some fun.
It wasn't so bad that it distracted me. I mean, it was fine. I think the stars are Chucky and Tiffany, and I know the movie knows that, but maybe they were just making sure there was room.
Do you remember when we saw The Force Awakens and you saw Rey and Finn and you're like, these guys have the riz, you know? Han Solo and Chewbacca, they're great, but I like these new guys. That's what you want to happen. You want to introduce some new characters where you're like, okay.
Got it. Yeah, but I mean, are there side characters in any Chucky movie that you're like, yes?
I think that
these guys.
These two movies are unusual where Chucky's the actual main character.
Right.
And in the rest, it's from the human's perspective.
Right, but do they have it, Matt? Do they have that riz?
Do they have that? I mean, Andy's got the riz.
Sure, but that's a little boy that was definitely in the wrong movie. So, I mean, I'm just saying you're putting a lot on these two young kids to carry this movie, but has any movie ever been carried by anything other than Chucky?
I would point you to all the many great slasher movies where
No. I'm just talking about Chucky. That's right. You don't have an answer.
No, I
bitch.
don't.
Gotcha.
Go over to the trailer where Tiffany lives. Tiffany is Jennifer Tilly. She's reading Voodoo for Dummies as her guide. And she's just like, this is Don Mancini making fun of how stupid the voodoo thing is. Cause she just reads from the book. She's like, Dambala, give me power, please. And it doesn't immediately work.
Well, but also like it's poking fun at a trend that is happening during that time. Anything for Dummies was definitely very popular back then because we didn't have the internet. It
doesn't work. And she's immediately like, what a crock. And then this guy, Damien, comes over, played by Alexis Arquette.
I'm sorry, but you're going to pick on the acting of the other two. And like, she's been waiting for 10 years to resurrect this doll. She's finally got her hands on it. And her reaction to the voodoo she does is, what a crock.
It's funny.
It's
guess. Silly, yes.
It's like, well, that didn't work. Bummer.
Because it's making fun of the whole of voodoo being in this series at all.
I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a big enough reaction to like, this is 10 years in the making, baby. Why aren't you more upset? Did you have a plan B to resurrect this fucker?
She'll try more things. We don't know. Plus, it did work. It just takes a little while. But this Damien guy shows her a photo. He's like, look what I was up to, babe.
Just a bloody, fucked up face. And she's like, oh my God, was it super bloody? And he's like, oh, so, killed it so hard. And she's like, it's you.
I recognize the nail polish. You never actually killed anybody, did you? You pathetic worm.
I'm working up to it.
As she's screaming at him and calling him a pathetic worm, and his dick is getting enormous at being called a worm, she notices Chucky is no longer lying on the pentagram of sand that she laid out for him.
I think it's salt love, but all right.
Okay. Well, she's looking all around this trailer mansion for Chucky, and Damien now goes to her bed, and he's like, don't you think we've been going out long enough? You've been keeping me waiting long enough.
Why do you think that's what we're going to do right now? You just lied to me big time, showing me this bullshit picture. Now it's time to fuck?
Yeah, because it's misogyny, don't you understand? Men expect
now I do.
Men expect it. I mean, that is what the movie is working with, because you got constantly like, my mother always told me a woman works all day in the kitchen. The least the man could do is do the dishes, but men just expect things. Even this shitty guy's like, I expect sex, even though I didn't do the one thing you asked me to do, which was to kill someone and document it. I couldn't even do that. But gets into the bed, and she's like in a fucking, she's in this crazy dominatrix outfit with all these leather gloves on and stuff. And
probably two of them.
Yeah. And they find the Chucky doll and he's like, oh, what's up with this stupid doll? It's so 80s.
And he throws it. He's super mean. He makes fun of her. Like, oh, I knew, babe, aren't you going a little too far?
A little too obsessed with all this stuff.
Stuff? You think I wanted to kill you because I like stuff, you fucking moron? He deserved to die.
So she handcuffs him to the bed and puts Chucky on top of him and starts doing a dominatrix dance in front of him. And we can get close-ups of Chucky's face to see this doll's aroused. Doll's not only alive, he's aroused, folks.
I'm sorry, if I opened up a doll and then undressed it and it had a dangling dick, I'd be upset. I don't know if that's anatomically correct. I don't know that 2-year-olds have dicks capable of these things, but all right. I mean, because he's about 1 or 2 years old. We do have to do Chekhov's random face piercing when you see one in a movie like this. So you're like, oh, yep. The doll. What can the doll do? He can rip the fuck out of that lip piercing, and it is bloody. Dang,
really
y'all!
It's like the bloodiest thing in the entire movie. Is he just rips the piercing. It just
shoots. It sprays.
Tiffany starts to give exposition here. I was with Charles Lee Ray. He was my boyfriend. He's never mentioned me in the movies yet, but I was always there, and we were going to get married. He was an incredible lover, the best I ever had. And Damien's like, this doll was your best lover? Come on, baby. He ain't even big enough to take care of a woman like you.
You are so smart, Damien.
Well, Chucky hears this, and he turns his head 180 degrees. And he says, it ain't the size that counts, asshole. It's what you do with it.
John Wayne, and also let's go to the Overlook.
Pulls out the fucking lip ring and just the gushing blood everywhere. And then he suffocates him with a pillow. And we get to see the reunion. I think that there is a funny idea here that the movie doesn't do a great job of executing. Well, it does a bad job. That she's built him up so much in her head, and then when she sees him, she realizes he fucking sucks and he's a loser.
Asshole, right? It's just nothing but complaints.
What I don't like is that she realizes it immediately, but then just keeps going back and forth about whether she likes him or not. Wants
Sunken
to be with him or
cost fallacy problem. I mean, and she done did voodoo. Now the motherfucker exists. What are we gonna do about that?
But then it seems like maybe she planned for this eventuality because she has the playpen prison.
No, she had the playpen because she thought he wanted to marry her because she found that ring, and so that's for the baby she thought they were gonna have.
But has like a door that she can put on top of it and padlock.
No, it just slides on. It's a trailer. It slides underneath the kitchen table. Everything goes underneath something in a mobile house of some kind. Same with the van that the guy lives in.
Okay.
He's got sofas and benches, but those are also storage.
Okay. She hasn't been with anybody else for 10 years because she's been looking for him all over the place. I've been looking for my dead boyfriend. I knew I could bring him back.
Right. I just needed to go to the place where he was caught. It took me 10 years to figure that shit out.
Yeah, but she cooks him his favorite, Swedish meat, my favorite. And she's like carrying him around like a little baby. Shows him the playpen that's for the nursery. And she's like, I still have the ring that you left me on your mantle.
And then he laughs. It's so mean.
And he's like, I got that ring from Vivian Van Pelt. I dumped her in the river. She says, you mean you weren't going to ask me to marry you? And he's like, what are you, fucking nuts? And he just starts cackling. She says, you haven't changed. You never changed. So she locks him into that playpen and tells him, I've been a prisoner of my love for you for a very long time, and now it's time for payback. So she goes and lays in her bed crying, and then the camera pulls back to reveal that she's laying next to Damien's dead body.
And she's annoyed with Damien's dead body, so she's like
pushing
scoots it over with her ass. Move.
You've got the gay subtext on top, grafted on top of two straight relationships here with Tiffany and Chucky being a prisoner of someone I love. And then with Jesse and Jade, who are being told you can't be together, and their fantasy of just running away where it doesn't matter who they are and they can be with the person they love. So
you're saying that Tiffany's a stand-in for a gay person in love with a straight person? Or just someone closeted.
Or somebody where my love for them dooms me because society won't accept it. So it can be any number of situations.
Got you.
Katherine Heigl's boyfriend Jesse lives in the trailer next door to.
It's just a van, but yeah,
in the trailer park.
In trailer park,
lives next door to Tiffany.
Sweet face.
And Tiffany has stuffed Damien's corpse into a trunk and asks Jesse to pack it into her car for her. And he does.
She's so manipulative too. She's like, you can do it. You got it. Like, it's like, you just drug this out of your house. You could just help him.
But then when he does, she's like, that's a nice boy. Say, you want to go get a drink sometime? And he's like, I can't. I'm involved with another woman. And she's like, wow, what a guy.
What a sweet guy. Didn't take me up on a quick fuck. I thought you've been faithful for 10 years, but this is how you act? Oh, maybe you have been. And this is just something you're like, now I'm definitely going to cheat on him. Like, not only does she need to keep him in a pin, but she needs to fuck.
That's true.
I hadn't thought of that.
But it's also, this is her first time trying. Just assumed, well, any man's going to spring on me. But this guy, he's a good guy. What the heck?
Right.
And so she says,
taking a birth control pill the whole time, thinking you're going to get pregnant. And then you start trying to get pregnant and you can't. It's just like that.
Yeah.
Just like
so, yeah.
Precautions for no fucking reason.
Treat her right, Jesse. My mother used to always say a woman spends all day slaving over a hot stove. The least he can do is clean the dishes. So this is another runner, is her quoting her mom, giving her weird romantic advice.
Right. She's kind of a philosopher.
And so back in the playpen, Chucky is playing with the spell-o-matic, and it's like, spell woman. And he spells bitch. I do like his pictures that he's colored of Tiffany being hanged and stuff. So she has a giant wrapped present. This is just like in the first movie, the good guy doll that Andy receives in a giant wrapped present. And it's a fucking, what?
I don't know. It is doesn't everyone want the tallest baby as a bride doll? Yeah. It's my toddler's getting married. The doll, it's too thin to be a toddler. It's all, but.
Well, and as we see later, has an anatomically correct butthole, or not butthole, an anatomically correct butt that the movie very erotically photographs. Well, so what children's toy is this?
Right, and very nicely sculpted tits.
Yeah,
but no nipples. I'm just guessing.
In the next movie, we do see her nipples.
Oh, thank God.
But there's this thing where the longer they're in a doll, the more the doll becomes human or something.
Yeah.
So maybe you don't start with tits, but they come.
Oh, they come.
But this doll will also say pre-recorded sounds like, "With this ring, I thee wed," which every child wants.
Okay, but no, as a kid, and I guess even still then, that was very, very common to play pretend your wedding day, dress in your mom's wedding dress, put on your aunt's wedding dress. I did this a ton of times with my cousins and stuff. This is what we mean when they say that we are, culturally groomed to just be exactly what we end up becoming. Unhappy brides. So now we have the bathtub scene in the impossible bathroom where watching The Bride of Frankenstein makes her cry. So, she does, there are signs all along that she has a heart. She's a confusing character. She's totally cool. You got to think she's probably a little edgelord kind of a chick, and she meets a serial killer and then falls in love with him because she's got this need to please the impossible kind of person. I can understand falling in love with someone that's so powerful, I guess. And then maybe over the course of 10 years convinces herself, no, she just really likes killing. But it's kind of like something she's trying on because she doesn't kill anyone herself. And
she kills the cop in the first scene.
Oh, that's true. That's true. But it's like 10 years of just kind of ruminating about this serial killer you lost, that was a relationship that at least led to him proposing to you. You thought that you've been trying to condition yourself to just be really into those things, but all the time it's peeking out it's not really what she wants.
No, I think she does want it. She just otherwise is old fashioned and romantic and wants to be swept off her feet by a nice man who also enjoys killing.
Go on a romantic killing spree.
Yeah, that killing is a hobby that she likes, and unfortunately it's illegal. But otherwise my tastes are very conventional. I want a big church wedding. Chucky escapes the playpen, drags the doll into the bathroom, and then throws the TV into the bathtub that Tiffany's in and electrocutes her. And he starts chanting to Damballa to transfer Tiffany's soul into the doll.
Kind of sweet.
At first, seems like it doesn't work. So Chucky says,
what a crock.
Just like she did. But then it does work. And so this is 30 minutes into the movie, and now Jennifer Tilly's just out of the movie. No more live action Jennifer Tilly.
But I really feel like this movie gets going once they're both dolls. That's when I love them the most.
Okay.
I was worried. I was like, oh man, now she's not going to be in it. But she's so good as the doll. And I love the gag every time when someone looks and they're like, It works on me every time. I just did an amazing impression of a doll for those
really
of you
did.
listening.
So she's now inside the doll. She's like, what the fuck? You got your wish, doll, and from now on you will love, honor, and obey Chucky.
I do love the couple of montages that happen where she turns into Sandy from Grease.
Yeah, and
tell me about it, stud.
They have what's the song? Call Me by Blondie. And she's doing the transformation, turning herself goth, painting her fingernails.
Weird little fingernails. They're now long for some reason.
And I guess she either bleaches her hair or transplants it from another doll.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, they show her bleach it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bleach my doll hair blonde. And when you finally see her, she's like, it's hot out, Barbie.
You're right. It's the cutest. Well, tell me about it, stud. It is the cutest little jacket she's got. She's precious.
She's precious.
She's precious. Doll baby.
Here's some new lore we haven't mentioned up until now. To transfer our souls, I gotta get the amulet of Damballa, which is on the corpse of my old body.
You know how I was into jewelry, babe? That ring.
The body is interred in the cemetery of Hackensack, New Jersey, despite him having been killed in Chicago. So we gotta go to New Jersey, okay?
You gotta respect the dead.
To get the amulet. And again, you can forgive, I guess it's like, this is the movie making fun of Child's Play lore, that they're just like, there's an amulet, gotta get the amulet, yeah. And that's buried, so you gotta go dig up the corpse, get the amulet of Damballa. The amulet of Damballa, you know the amulet of Damballa.
We just need to go on a little journey. I think it's a perfectly fine reason to do it.
Tiffany calls her neighbor Jesse and is like, "Can you drive us to Hackensack?" And he's like, okay, for $500, you yeah, definitely.
1,000.
500 when I get there. And so Jesse's like so excited about this that he goes and picks up the dolls, and then he goes to pick up Katherine Heigl, and it's like it's a Bruce Springsteen song. He's like, baby, I got $500. We can go and start over anywhere. And she's like, oh my God, you're right.
I'm like adjusting for inflation. I'm like, no, it's $1,000. All it happened is now it's $2,000 maybe. You're gonna need some stuff.
Plus, they get the suite when they stay in Niagara Falls.
I think it comes with the paying for the wedding. But yeah, why are you married? Why? I guess like in case they drag us back, at least we're married and we get to say so, even if we get back to our old town for some reason.
I was wondering if I missed we can't testify against each other or something.
No. The plan was always to go get married, and I think that's like at least if we get married. And then they catch up with us, we have some legal ground to be together, no matter where we are. I'm assuming, or they're just dumb kids. Like they think marriage is the way.
Yeah,
who knows?
It is trying to go capture this like really old fashioned spirit of we're going to run Bonnie and Clyde. We're going to run away together and get married, and we'll be criminals together. And step 3, I don't know.
They never wanted to be criminals.
Yeah, I know, but they decide, we're now wanted criminals. We didn't do it, but we're going to have to embrace the identity or whatever. Chucky and Tiffany hear him giving a big speech to her about if you cook, I'll do the dishes, and so you marry me. And Chucky, every time anything romantic happens, Tiffany's like, it's not romantic.
And Chucky's doing little tiny doll baby jerk off motion.
So they run inside to pack her bags, but meanwhile, John Ritter is snooping around the van. And Tiffany and Chucky get worried. Is this guy going to screw with our ride? So they need to take care of it. So Chucky takes out a knife. He's like, I'm going to kill him with my knife. And Tiffany's like, it's the 90s, Chucky. Martha Stewart says, or no, you look like Martha Stewart with that knife. And the best line of the movie, who the fuck is Martha Stewart?
She's my idol, and I'm going to do what she says to do. Improvise. That, you know what, I just figured out what works. It's when she doesn't like Chucky anymore. Well, I mean, I guess she doesn't like Chucky anymore whenever she's already mad at him, lock him in a cage. So I don't know why her turning into a doll gives this whole thing gas, but it does.
She goes back and forth about whether she likes him or not. Sometimes she seems like she really does.
I got you. But now all of a sudden she's showing off her criminal behavior and her skills, and there's just something way more fun about that, rather than her just like taking baths and laying in a bed and asking someone to help her move something. Like once she takes over and she's got ideas and stuff, and she's impressing him, it's fun.
I agree. The whole movie couldn't be, can you help me move something, please?
Right. Her little Betty Boop back doesn't work for very long because it gets really boring. So now all of a sudden she's got to be a badass, and that's not the most pinup girl sex kitten thing to be, but in this body, it's working.
Moviegoers, they demand something more now than just getting stabbed. Instead of stabbing them, why don't you shoot 25 nails into their head? Which they do
somehow by just balancing them on this glove box. They whatever.
Turn on the AC and
then they have the Hellraiser reference to why does this look familiar?
Why does this look so familiar? And she says, "See, that's the work of a true homicidal genius." And
it's not penetrating any vital organs. I did not kill this man. Genius.
Knocked him out. And
so
they hide him in the secret compartment of this van. All right, so Jesse and Jade trying to get out of town and go on their journey, but they immediately get pulled over by that crooked cop again, and he go pull over into that local teen hangout.
Right, it's like a freaking sock hop out there. It's like everyone's getting a milkshake and rolling on roller skates.
Yeah, and there might be a rumble later on.
And then look at the little kerchief she ties around her neck. It's very Mary Tyler Moore.
And the cop starts harassing them, and Katherine Heigl yells at him, "My uncle's paying you, you slime ball." And he's like, "Yeah, he's paid me a lot of money." And Jesse's like, "Babe, cool off. Go
get us some food.
Walk it off and get us some food from that store." And then the cop goes and plants some drugs in the van, plants some reefer, and then pulls it out. He's like, "Look what I found. I found some goddamn drugs. And I'm going to arrest you. All right, wait there while I go to my car and write up the arrest thing."
The dad planted the uncle.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Chucky's like, "Well, I got to take care of this." So he sneaks over and blows up the cop car.
He crawls like a tiny baby. It's so cute. His little butt just shuffling.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's moments where they have live action actors playing Chucky and Tiffany.
I did not know that.
That's one of them, and it was the same. His name is Ed Gale. Also played Howard the Duck.
Damn. Is he a little person?
Yes.
Okay.
So they blow up the cop car, and you see Chucky has a lighter that belonged to the cop that Tiffany killed at the beginning of the movie. It falls out of Chucky's pocket. So now that's evidence that there's a
connection between all the murders.
A big killer is going around.
Multiples. I love how stupid John Ritter looks with all the nails in his face. He looks like you look when you do that game where you put tape on your face. That I used to do all the time. Just tape my nose up, tape my lip up, the tape game.
Sounds fun.
It is fun. I don't know. No, it's not for you.
Go to Niagara Falls.
You can get it.
And they get married in a chapel. But even though they're starting to suspect the other of being a murderer, you blew up that cop car. You blew up that cop car. The only way to solve this is to get married. I just think this script is pretty sloppy.
Yeah.
And then back in the van while our leads are getting married, Chucky and Tiffany are in their car, and they're like, "I think these are the guys we're going to transfer our souls into." And Chucky's like, "I've been dead for a long time, and now I want to check out the music scene." So he's flipping through the radio stations, and he's like, "Crap, crap, crap." And then here's Rob Zombie. He's like, "Oh, yeah.
This guy gets it. This guy's so dated that my 10-year-old taste works for this music."
As they are rocking out to... I believe it's White Zombie. It's not Rob Zombie.
Yeah, I didn't think it was Rob Zombie.
John Ritter springs to life with the nails in his face. And so Chucky stabs him repeatedly. Then they go to this Niagara Falls honeymoon suite, which I want to go to so badly.
You do? I feel like we get sprayed a lot. Niagara Falls sounds so misty.
Well,
unintentional
it
wetness.
Doesn't come through the walls. Like you go indoors.
I got that. But there's no TV in there, Matt. Well, we do.
So to be clear, I don't give a fuck about the waterfalls, but Niagara Falls, the town, looks so charming to me.
Oh, I didn't know there was a town.
It looks like a Dolly or a Gatlinburg or that kind of town.
I like that. I love a theme.
Dinner theater shows and stuff. But also these honeymoon suites. I've always wanted to go to one.
A big heart-shaped bed with a mirror on the ceiling.
Exactly. I want the mirror on the ceiling. I want to see my big white butt. I want to see it all.
It's not as big as you think.
What?
Your butt's not big.
What?
It's normal size.
No. And these weird swingers come into their hotel room and they're like, hey, honey. Oh, looking for some fun on your wedding night? It's our wedding night too. And
such a weird con. Who is going for this?
So, I mean, what is this con? This
is just to distract them long enough for them to take their wallet and their ring. That's all they did.
To pose as swingers to disorient you. I think it's a great con then.
Fine. Well, but if the goal was also to also get sex on top of everything else, which it kind of seems like it is, that doesn't. The ruse is weird.
No, because if it succeeds, then you also get sex and the money you were going to steal.
I guess I forgot that they were stealing money and rings and stuff, and I was thinking, you're not going to get sex this way, you stupid idiots. And then I realized, Matt. So you're right.
They steal the money, and Tiffany sees. It's like, oh, those bastards. The dastards, and chases them into their room where they're now excitedly having sex. But the woman looks up into the mirror on the ceiling and sees Tiffany, the doll. A doll, oh my God, with the champagne bottle.
It's a clever way to kill. I mean, it wouldn't work, but because you wonder, like, how are these dolls going to be scary? How are they going to be menacing and have any momentum, have any real ability to kill anything? And I think they do. I think they figure it out.
Yeah. I like this kill a lot. All right. I mean,
water plus blood.
Exactly.
Fun.
Yes. Throws the champagne bottle at the glass mirror ceiling. The shards of glass come down, puncture the bed. Just explosion of water and blood. Great idea. And Chucky's also like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's all I needed. You're so fucking hot.
I love you. And he gets down on one knee and proposes to her. Oh my God. And then the puppet sex, which in my memory was like so much more explicit, and it really should be.
That's all I remember from this movie is puppet sex, and I thought it happened in a van.
No, they should be much longer, much more graphic. It should be like Team America. There should be all kinds of different positions.
I'm pretty sure this inspired Team America.
You think so?
I think so.
And
for Avenue Q.
At the same time, our heroes are lying awake on their waterbed, not talking to each other because they just got married, but they still think the other one is a murderer.
Okay, but they were murdering for you. That's sweet. God, ungrateful. So they really are. They're very 1950s.
They are. You're right.
Yes. One of them should wear a poodle skirt. I don't care which one.
So Jesse gets out of the bed, sneaks out of the bed, and Jade's like, now's my chance to call my friend David. And calls him, and David's like, hey, what's going on? You guys are all over the news. What, you're killing people? Don't do that. And she's like, no, we're not killing. And he's like, hold on, I got a call waiting. And it's Jesse calling from the payphone. And
they're both worried about the exact same thing, and they both come off as very genuine. So he's like, oh, this is just a regular switcheroo. I think it's cute. It is cute. I appreciate about this movie that these two get believed enough. There's enough going on. Like, because by the time they're exhausted and they've been stabbed and whatever, and some white guy walks up, white cop. All you need is a white old cop to vouch for you that says, I saw a doll. And then there you go.
I still don't think it would be enough.
It's enough.
Yeah, that's the thing about these movies. I have my thing about, like, I wonder, like, how do you explain the horror movie that just happened? How are they going to explain after the movie It ends why their friend Eddie died?
Yeah, I don't know. Those kids are fucked.
The movies just end. And then usually when we pick back up, the people are all in a mental institution because nobody's going to believe you.
Or at least have a drinking problem. Yeah.
Kathy Najimy randomly is in one scene as the housekeeper, and she comes in, she's like, housekeeper. Maybe scene's deleted. Newlyweds. Sees the dead lovers and she screams. So Jesse and Jade run in, grab the dolls, get on the run again. Or no. They get into their car and they're about to leave. And then, David's there. And he's like, guys, I got to explain everything to you guys. Okay. Here's
how the rules work when you're in a sequel to a sequel to a sequel and there's dolls involved. Good thing we're in a van. This is perfect. It's just like Scream. So he's convinced that they're good little sweethearts and that it's just some mix up. But now they're trying to figure out who could be doing this? Jesse notices that there's a smell in the van that the other two haven't noticed. Guess they're used to it. And he's like, poo. He keeps saying poo. I'm like, ew. And then he lifts up the thing. And so right after he's convinced that they're innocent, he sees the dead, crazy mutilated corpse of the uncle. And he freaks out and tells him to pull over. And he gets the uncle's gun out of his person. And he points the gun and makes them pull over under an overpass.
And they do. And he's like, you bet. And then the dolls now reveal themselves too. They're like, we're alive too, fuckers. And now here David steps out onto the highway and gets just splattered, smashed.
Just guts. But the brilliant actress, Heigl Liz, she sheds a tear. She said a moment. I guess there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. This is a great like Final Destination death.
Yes.
And so they hear on the radio now. They keep checking in on their crime. Well, what's the news saying about us? And they check in on the radio. And they're like, the update on the murders. Jesse and Jade are on the lam. But also in a weird update, the fingerprints of deceased killer Charles Lee Ray are now found at all these crime scenes.
But how? doll? Why would the doll have his fingerprints?
I guess it has to be the like I turn more human, and so my doll body grows my old fingerprints.
Yeah, and just more and more kind of like letting the kids off the hook. You got to see an end for them for it to be a relieving ending, I guess.
Now that the Charles Lee Ray fingerprints are at the crime scene, investigators are going to go exhume the body in Hackensack, New Jersey. So now it's an actual race against time to get to the cemetery. And so they steal an RV.
Oh, it is handy that all the digging was done for them.
That's
what
true.
were the fucking dolls going to do?
As the medical examiner's there, and you hear them shoot the medical examiner off screen. So it's just like, all right, come on, we got to get through this. Chucky and Tiffany are now like totally aligned with each other. They got married or whatever, or at least proposed and had doll sex. So Jesse realizes maybe methinks I can divide them, exploiting the gender divide. Hey, Chucky, she doesn't seem like she's a great at cleaning up the house because she has all these dirty dishes in the RV that they've stolen.
Well, because they killed the two old people who live in the RV and they're just sitting there on the bench. They didn't have time to clean their dishes.
She's been making a mess in the kitchen, I guess, making the Swedish meatballs and the cookies. And he's like, hey, babe, the dishes aren't going to wash themselves. And she immediately, starts hurling dishes at him. Yeah, son of a bitch.
Then Katherine Heigl takes like a really, okay, I'm going to use this word, gnarly spill because her hands are tied behind her back and they're, and they're all over the road and she can't break her fall, and so she just falls head first onto the fucking, I don't know, it's very fat, like, oh, she could have died.
It's literally gnarly. It's all gnarly.
I didn't know what else to say.
Yeah, I agree.
It was the only thing that came to me.
Yeah, because Jesse's like, here's my chance, and he swerves the RV.
It kills his girlfriend. She's inches from death. But this puts her on the ground, so when the Tiffany doll springs out of nowhere, is that when she kicks her into the oven?
Or somewhere around
I don't know, but she puts Tiffany in the oven and Tiffany becomes ugly. So she did let herself go up in smoke. And so then that reveals Chucky for him being exactly who the fuck he's been this whole time. When he sees her, he's like, ew, I don't love you anymore. You're not hot and cool. You're just like physically hot and gross. Ew.
My love for you has been put out. It's gone.
Turns out it was lust.
But they all fucking end up at the cemetery, and like Jesse is keeping Tiffany as a hostage, and Chucky is keeping Jade as a hostage, and they do a little hostage exchange where they do the slow walk like it's Bridge of Spies, and as they cross each other, Tiffany's like, take care of that guy. You're a really lucky guy.
Every time that's been fucking told to me, I want to puke, and it's never true. Anytime anyone has ever been like, you got a good one there, it's always been about a bad one. No one's ever said that about you. And that's when it's true.
They say it. You tell me they say it.
No. This is different, though. This is when it's unwanted from a stranger and you're thinking like, yeah, I guess you're right. That's why it doesn't piss me off. Because when people say it about you, I'm like, yeah, you're right. But when people say it about other guys I'm with, like, you don't know the fucking half of it, woman. You want them take it. Ugh.
Yeah. Chucky throws a knife at Jade, but Jesse throws himself in front of her and takes the knife into the back, into the least consequential backstabbing in his cinema history.
Really?
Yeah,
it kind of worked for me.
But oh my God. And then he's like, pull it out. That's it. No more consequences to this.
Right. You're right. Okay.
Pull it out. Okay, good. I'm good.
Yeah. When it's in, it's poison.
Thank God.
It's hot lava.
Chucky ties them up and he starts voodoo chanting. And Tiffany's like, I love you, Chucky. We belong together forever and ever.
But we also belong dead.
Pulls the knife out of his pocket and stabs him. And he's like, why? Because we belong dead. Goodbye, darling. I'll see you in hell. But she says it's sweet. I wrote that in my notes.
Yeah.
She says, I'll see you in hell. The rare I'll see you in hell, meaning it literally and sweetly.
I'll meet you again.
Yeah,
in this afterlife. Yeah, she really does love them, but she also knows that they're fucked up and they shouldn't fuck over this couple. And then nice people are nice. And she wishes in another life she were just a nice girl, had a nice boy.
So she stabs him, but in this movie, stabbings don't work. So Chucky springs back to life. Now the dolls get into a shovel fight. This is another instance where it's clearly live action actors because it's shot completely overhead as they're knocking each other.
Oh, okay.
With shovels. And then Chucky finally stabs Tiffany, and stabs all the way through. And she goes, my mother always told me love will set me free. And she drops to her death. And Jesse hits Chucky with the shovel, knocks him into the grave. I love that he lands on his own corpse and he freaks out.
Ew!
And Jade is holding a gun on him, and now the cop arrives. And this cop, I think this movie's kind of very poorly edited because it's like this cop has been there. You keep checking in with him on the TV. You're just never getting enough. There's like one cop who's clearly he's the cop that's on Jesse and Jade's side. And then the other cop on TV is like, I think they're guilty. And this cop's like, I don't know about that.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't following that. But I guess I took his age to mean like he's got some seniority. It's going to mean a lot that he sees that doll and he'll remember the deaths from 10 years ago as an adult with an adult brain, where they were 9 years old when it happened. So they remember it, but he was probably still a cop when that happened. Mm-hmm. I don't know. There's like an instant like, you guys are good. This makes more sense.
I mean, he's very flippant about it. They're like, you guys go ahead, get out of here. Because he just says on his radio like, oh, Jesse and Jade. Yeah, it turns out they were innocent. And they're like, okay, that's that.
All right, then. Case closed. You think everyone's going to get that message? They're running around with blood all over them now. And you're like, but I did the thing. I said the thing inside the Tucky walkie. And
yeah. Because this cop sees Chucky down in the grave just running around. Going,
what I'm saying is I don't think the word spreads as fast as you think. And I think you just sent these two little lovebirds off to get killed by a cop because those other cops don't have this message. They have the old APB. That's what I was trying to say.
It'll take some time. You're right.
Yeah. Good news spreads less fast. Bad news spreads faster, as the saying goes.
So this cop is now witness. Oh my God, the doll. Voodoo is the one true religion. I renounce Jesus Christ. And this doll is running around, and Jade steals the cop's gun. And like, I'm going to shoot you dead, Chucky, I swear. Katherine Heigl says that, and Chucky's like, fine, go ahead and shoot me. But I'll be back. I always come back. But Diane is such a bitch. She shoots him through the heart. That's how you kill Chucky. You have to shoot him
in the heart, the doll heart. He's anatomically correct. That means he's got guts and cum and poop.
Oh no, my poop's going out of me.
Did they at least in the seed of Chucky show him shitting ever? Like just on the toilet? That'd be funny. Like on like a potty, like a little kid would.
Maybe in the TV show. That's if they haven't done that. Come on, what are you doing?
Get in there.
Seed of Chucky opens up exactly like Marty Supreme with sperm, little Chucky sperm.
Oh, are they plastic?
I mean, they just have his face.
Oh, okay. So also look who's talking.
I haven't seen it. Those are my two references: is Seed of Chucky and Marty Supreme and The Simpsons. And so the cops like, yeah, you two, you're free to go. And then the cop, the camera stays with the cop, and the cop goes and examines Tiffany's body. He's like, ew, gross. What a weirdo doll.
Oh.
And then Tiffany's body bursts in a little worm mannequin.
Wait, I didn't see that.
What?
No, it went straight to credits for me.
From when?
From him getting shot after saying it's such a bitch. I swear. I was like, what? It felt like maybe
we watched the same file, so you must have.
Gunnar must have he twice stepped on the remote before that, so it is possible that he did it again. But it seemed like a normal place for the movie to end, so I was like, okay.
No, this ending rules. He goes and checks out Tiffany's body, and it moves. And he's like, what the fuck? Blood bursts out of it, and this little fucking baby gets birthed out of her. And it's one of the best puppets I've ever seen. This
the teeth,
gross little larval fucking mannequin thing. And then it like a face hugger from Alien jumps onto his face, and he's like, ah! And the movie ends.
Oh, damn it, that was their alibi. But yeah, okay.
But we'll never hear from them again. It's fine.
That's fine. They went on to do
Grey's Anatomy
and more soap opera stuff. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They're fine. I can't believe I didn't fucking. All right. I was like, where the fuck does the seed come from? I'm so confused. But I mean, he'll find a way. Like, tell me anything's going to happen. I'm like, all right, he'll just stitch that together. It's fine.
He always comes back.
I don't mean Chucky. I mean the writer. If they want to move on to like now dinosaurs exist, he'll just find a way to canonically make that. It was always going to happen.
Final thoughts, Laci, on Bride of Chucky?
I was not excited to watch this movie. I was worried it would drag and it would be relying too much on a gimmick, and I don't like that. And Chucky's too mean, but like this movie is what you need. This movie makes Chucky nice. It stays with him. He's funny. The actor's funny. Jennifer Tilly is a great voice actor. These puppets are amazing. So it ended up being very entertaining. But I would still only give it like a 3 or 3.5. I haven't really decided. I'm not going to go out of my way to watch it again. This is probably the best Chucky that without seeing any of the other ones, except for the first one. This is probably peak Chucky for me. Because if anything, they're going to go over the top with the dolls next time. This was just right. They hit on something just right, and it's hard to keep going with this.
Yeah. I think that watching them back to back and then discussing the movie and taking all my notes and kind of noticing all the seams in this movie, I think Seed of Chucky is a little better because there's fewer humans. It is more just 3 dolls talking to each other.
But why does the doll look like that?
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean? It looks sick.
Because it's a baby.
It's green and weird and talks like No, I don't mean in this one. I mean, I walked in on Seed of Chucky when they're having the talk, or you showed me that scene.
Uh-huh.
Why does a doll look like they did? I guess I just thought, okay, 2 dolls have a baby and it just looks like the mom and dad. Fine. I guess I thought since I didn't see that final scene that they get back together, want to have a family, so they go pick out a doll and like raise it from, voodoo. So I thought they just chose that weird cucumber looking fucking doll.
Now what the story is like that. So the little baby that comes out of the inn goes and lives its life without its parents, doesn't know who its mother and father are. And then Tiffany and Chucky get resurrected, and then he finds them and realizes, you're my parents.
They would have to be. Yeah. They're the only ones that have the same toxic to the land skin.
I'm also going to go with 3 stars. This is
it's fun.
It's fun,
but that's the best you can really say.
I think on the second viewing this week, I enjoyed it less, both because I just watched it the day before, but also taking my notes and doing like really trying to connect all the threads of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I start to see kind of how sloppy it all is. Maybe with a better director or somebody more skilled in comedy, somebody working in the English language for the first time is maybe not gonna. I don't know.
Just better casting, maybe, or I don't know, getting more out of the other people. Like the dolls are giving you everything, and the gay friend is good. John Ritter's good. Needle Nose is fine, but like you need some other electricity. Like
you do, yeah.
It runs out of energy without them in it.
And I think there's tons of no-name actors in the Jason series and in the Freddy series who it's not like they went on to be great stars, but they just found them in like local theaters and then they're great and they hold the screen and they're compelling.
Well, and I always use her as an example, but Stretch, like that's why she's one of my favorite final girls. And honestly, the Hellraiser final girl, she did a really good job once it got to just being about her pulling the movie along. When she's this other character that's like in and out of the scene, she what seemed weird, but I know when I'm watching a compelling final girl, and Katherine Heigl, maybe because there was a final boy with her, just isn't as motivating.
Yeah. And then it's just not a horror movie.
It's not, yeah.
You want it to, but it is funny and it's fun. And check it out. It's a fun movie. I'm so glad that these movies
There's nothing
exist.
like it.
There's really nothing like them. You're right. Yeah. Coming up next week, you're going to spring this on Laci.
Yeah. And even if you told me 3 times, it'd still be a surprise. It's how my brain works.
We're going to Sweet Home Alabama.
What? Oh, because you want to talk about Business Psycho Reese Witherspoon.
We need to talk about Business Psycho Reese Witherspoon.
And I do a great Reese. No, I don't. I do a great Alabama, though.
Yes, you do.
Mine's a little Mississippi.
So I was looking at her filmography, though, looking for like a good movie for us to talk about. She has so many fewer movies than I realize, and has kind of is not in movies anymore. It hasn't been for like a decade. But I remember when Sweet Home Alabama came out in 2002, and it was an enormous hit. It played like a fucking Star Wars movie. But
did you feel this way when you saw the previews? I remember looking at that. Oh, you have a baby? You have a baby in a bar? Anyway, I just remember and thinking that is the most Reese Witherspoon role I could imagine, and I don't know why. There's something that feels so cynical about this movie, and I'm sure I'm gonna like it, but it feels like market tested and perfectly calibrated to her and my brain. And I resented it for that.
Okay, beautiful. That is exactly why I thought we should do this. I've never seen this movie.
It's fun, but it's aggravating.
But her whole thing is weaponizing, like, I'm from the South, y'all, but I'm smarter than them
but
Southerners.
She's super smart when she's Legally Blonde. So like, that's her, right?
This was her follow-up to Legally Blonde.
I was like, you looked at me so strange. I'm like, that's her, right? Yeah, her whole thing is like she's surprisingly smart, right? Like it's like oh, oh wait, you're smart, and that's true. That's exactly what Elle Woods is too. I'm just like this, and I care about things like this, and bend and snap, and then also the document of the United States of American democracy is right here in file 32. I object. See how good I am? I am so good at just like freelancing. Nope.
So tune in next week, May 15th. Happy May 15th to all of you. Sweet Home Alabama, starring Reese Witherspoon, Patrick Dempsey, and the other guy. Josh Lucas, the other guy.
Don't have two first names.
Wonder which one she'll end up with, the New York snob or the down-home boy that she left.
Who knows? That's the thing. It's one of those twisty-turny movies where you're like, what? Just kidding. It's not.
We have other endeavors like Laci's art channel. My band, Rural Route 9.
You do endeavor.
I endeavor to please
dabble.
you. Got some other podcasts, monthly podcasts, one about James Bond, one about the Twilight Zone. Links to all of that in the descriptions, as well as our Letterboxd accounts.
That I totally keep up to date.
So you can see, and you'd be like, why did you give this movie 2 stars, but you gave that movie 3.5 stars? Are you really saying this movie's 1.5 stars worse than that movie?
Look forward to one sarcastic sentence explaining why that I can provide.
Thank you all very much.
Okay, I love you. Bye.